Hi there, students. At this point, you should have completed your bell ringer. And in that bell ringer, we came up with a few questions that we had about our speaker system. And what we're going to work on now is starting to phrase questions in terms of cause and effect. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit present on my slideshow and make me a little smaller here. But we're going to talk about cause and effect in this PowerPoint here momentarily. I'm going to make me a little smaller. Go back to my slideshow. Okay, so all right, so real quick, when scientists ask questions about a system, we will often think in terms of a cause and effect relationship. Okay, we're usually looking to identify cause and effect relationships when we look at a system. Okay, so let's think about our speaker system again that we've been working with, and we're going to think about it in terms of a possible cause and effect relationship that we might want to know more about. All right, that's our goal here. All right, so looking at this slide, um, this is going to help us try to form these cause and effect questions. So, a cause and effect relationship can usually be described with a sentence that looks something like this: when we change something to a system, we observed a certain effect on the system. Okay. Another way we can say this is that when we change this, then we observe that. All right. And an example here that we have is when we drop our cell phone on the ground, then we will observe the screen crack. Okay, that's happened many times to I'm sure many of you guys. Luckily, has not happened to me yet. But notice there that when we had our change that we put in there, our change was when we dropped our phone. What was the effect of that? Our screen cracked. Okay. Another example might be when I turn the key in my classroom door in the morning, then I observe that the lock opens. All right. So again, when we change this, then we observe that. Quickly, can you come up with one example of your own here of a cause and effect relationship in your everyday life by filling in these blanks? So come up with one cause and effect relationship in your everyday life using this sentence frame. When we change this, then we observe that. All right. So hopefully you were able to come up with a couple examples here. Um, I want us to think about this slide here though now as well. Okay, so on here, um, is there a cause and effect statement that we can definitely make about our speaker system right now? Okay, so not in our general lives, but we want to try to form a cause and effect statement about our speaker system right now. Okay, is there a change that we could make to our system where we know for sure what we will observe if we make that change? Okay, so turn just on your computers or on your own, discuss for a minute, and then I want you to write down at least one example in your notebook under the title Cause and Effect Observations, and you're going to do this on page 24. So I'll say that again. So on page 24, I want you to jot down in your notebook an example like on this slide here. So you're going to title page 24 Cause and Effect Observations, and then you will write down there at least one cause and effect observation. When we blank, we will observe blank. Try to write down at least one. I was able to come up with at least three of them, and I'll share out in a second. But write down one cause and effect statement about our speaker system. When we blank, we observe blank. So I'm excited to hear what some of your responses are. A few that I came up with were when we turn off the music player, we observe that the music stops. When we move the magnet away, we observe that the music stops. And then when we move the magnet closer to the coil, we observe that the music gets louder. So notice those when we blank, we observe blank statements with our speaker system. All right. Okay, so there are a lot of ways that we can ask questions about cause and effect relationships in systems. We could ask a question about our effect. We could ask a question about the change we need to make to get the effect. We could also ask a how or a why question about a cause and effect relationship we're pretty sure about. Now, I'm curious, can we take these statements that I have right here, right, or the ones that you wrote down in your notebook, and explain why the change you made to the system causes the effect? Can any of us do that? Okay, so if not, we're going to think about that a little bit, but think back to the things you wrote down in your notebook and just see, can you explain that how or why things that you wrote down with the cause and effect statements with why those are happening yet? Okay, so if not, that's okay. That's what our goal is. We're going to try to work on can we start to explain some of those things, okay? And we're going to explain those by asking questions like this right here. What is the effect we observe on the system when we make this change? What is the change we would need to make to get this effect? What part or parts are involved in this change? Does this change cause the effect? Or could both things be happening for another reason? And then how or why does this change cause this effect, right? That's an explanation type thing. All right, so I've added the word because on this slide, and I've added the word because for a reason, okay? So I've put because in here to our cause and effect sentence for when we have an explanation that connects the cause and effect. It seems like we still have a lot of questions about how and why these changes to the systems cause the effects right now, which is fine because we may not know a lot about speakers. But we can often describe cause and effect relationships that we observe or predict using just if and then. But as we dive deeper into our investigations, I hope we can start filling in some of these becauses. So we might know when we move our magnet closer to the speaker, the sound gets louder because something. And we'll get there. And that's our goal, is to start to fill in that because. Okay. All right, so before we move on here, the next task or the next part of this task that you have is you need to write 1 to 2 additional questions for our driving question board using the cause and effect relationship in the speaker system. And you'll find that using the Padlet link. Okay, so please go to the Padlet link, follow your directions, and write 1 to 2 additional questions for our driving question board using the cause and effect relationship in the speaker system. All right, again, that's on the Padlet, and I look forward to seeing your guys' questions you're able to make. You are now good to move on to your next task.